It comes in every Monday through Friday, live at 5 on the Evil P Network, Rumble X, YouTube, all that good stuff. Check us out, subscribe. What a day, what a news day. They popped old Johnny Bolton from the FBI, did a raid, and they did do him a little service. They didn't do the whole have the TV cameras out there like they did with Rudy and Trump and Roger Stone and all that with the Biden administration. Some of the comments Trump had about little Johnny Bolton and why he had him in the first administration, what his usefulness was, were quite revealing today. Of course, the D.C. crime issue there and possible rollout the National Guards in places like Chicago and other places as we roll forward. Jet fighter explodes on takeoff. Two arrests made in the sad disappearance of 7-month-old baby boy Emmanuel Haro. His parents, Jake and Rebecca Haro, were arrested today by San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department in their home in Cabazon, because the crime supposedly, or first reported, the mom reported baby Haro missing in Yucaipa, so they had jurisdiction on that, even though they live in Cabazon, or their home is in Cabazon. We'll have Eddie George of Action Eye News got some footage of that, of them being arrested and stuff, and we'll run that here in a bit. Dude was sawing. You know, the Armco barrier or the guardrail you see on the freeway, there's a dude sawing it off. Maybe he's sawing it for scrap or something, who knows. The whole wokeism deal, you know, I guess Cracker Barrel didn't learn from the Bud Light deal. They're trying to go woke at Cracker Barrel, and I bet you that's going to explode. Of course, the Gavin-mander, Newsom-mander, gerrymander now has officially passed both houses of the California legislature, and it's now AB 50 and will be on the November ballot this year. We usually don't have much, if any. Most places don't even have any on what we call the off year or even years, odd years of elections. They're usually, like LA has city council elections on that. Riverside used to, but they changed to even years like most everybody. So it will definitely be a deal. Most people, and you know, politics can change in a heartbeat, and it can be, you know, things can change in a second, but most people think it's going to be a very steep climb for him to do this, and that probably isn't. Newsom's intention is not, I don't believe, to do this, but we'll have some more insights into the Newsom-mander, as we've called it so far. Some of the stuff that goes on in the media we'll touch upon. A scathing report came out on Sheriff Chad in the Press Enterprise today, so we'll probably deal with a little bit of that. Of course, a school board meeting at Riverside Unified School District, where everybody in the community asked him to do something about this deal about boys and girls sports. Now, there wasn't a total agreement on that, but we'll have some more insights into that whole situation. Sometimes, this one was spectacular. It was overseas in the Ceylon, but it was an F-18 Hornet. At the Sultan Ahmad Shah Airport. And F-18s are pretty darn freaking reliable. But as with anything high performance, cars, aircraft, anything subject to, as we say, failure, and this one did. It explodes on takeoff. It's cell phone video, so they didn't quite get the greatest job in the world of catching it, but you can get the drift of what happened to a F-15 fighter. There it is, taken off. Nothing unusual. Well, nothing appears to be unusual there. He's on the afterburner, rolling her in there. Man, as soon as he lifted up, whatever exploded in the engine usually is, the fan explodes or something. There it goes, kai boom, as it fades off, and I think they catch it. But that was some wild cell phone video of an F-18 Hornet exploding in the Sultan Airport overseas. The absolute heartbreaking story of baby Emmanuel, who we first became aware of as the mom made a report about a week ago that she was attacked in a parking lot in a shopping center in Yucaipa, which would not be, if you lived in Cabazon, going to Yucaipa would not be anywhere out of the ordinary. She said she was attacked, was knocked unconscious, or that was her first story. And when she came to consciousness, little Emmanuel Haro was gone. And of course, and rightfully so, everybody just like, man, Amber Alerts, looking for, if you see anything, call. It wasn't too much, I think hours, at least by the next day. Law enforcement was called off. We're no longer searching or believe that he is missing, or it happened the way the parents described it. Today they were arrested at their Cabazon home. So you're going to see, this is some footage from Eddie George's Action Eye News. There's the mom, Rebecca Haro, getting handcuffed and being led to the car, probably to be, I'm assuming, or would speculate, that she's getting ready to be hauled downtown to be booked in jail. As one of the residents said, hope one of them, whether it's the mom or the dad, but most likely the mom, comes in and says, hey, just cop to what's going on. Eddie George of Action Eye News reported that he's reporting that the cops found some of his clothing, some of baby Emmanuel's clothing, quarter-mile down the road in a dumpster. The police investigators had said the parent's story just does not jive. There was no evidence, or they could not corroborate or find evidence to back up Rebecca Haro's story of what happened at the Ukaipa parking lot that she claimed. So again, we don't want to, like with all this stuff, we don't want to get too much or speculate in this stuff too much. But as we say, hope for the best, prepare for the worst. Hopefully, and I think all of us are holding out hope that we will find somewhere baby Emmanuel alive somewhere. But as this drags on, again, the odds of that happening are getting less and less each day. You know, and when the cops are calling off an active search, it's kind of like when you have, you know, like if you have a plane crash or, you know, disaster like that. And, well, like the one we had in Washington, D.C., where these planes fell in the ocean. And, you know, that after a while, it goes from a search and rescue mission to a recovery mission. Now, the San Bernardino or other authorities have not specifically said that, but they said they're not actively searching or looking, you know, for, you know, trying to find, and I'm taking it just as I interpret it, a live body, or that they're probably working on the assumption, you know, that this probably isn't going to end well. But again, we don't want to speculate too much on it. It's already heartbreaking enough, but in anything to get closure on it, we need to know, everyone needs to know what happened. And if a crime was committed, that those responsible are prosecuted to the full extent of the law. This guy was something else. Caught on tape. You know, and this is the one good thing about technology. You know, most everybody's carrying a cell phone and recording and stuff, or dash cams. You know, your surveillance cams on your house and everything. I mean, like you say, you're under surveillance almost 24/7, 365. Your smartphone is, or your smart TV is spying on you, walking around nude in the living room or whatever you're doing. It's just, I mean, it's almost impossible to escape from being monitored, recorded, or something in this day and age, at least in the United States. But this guy's sawing, you know, we used to call, you know, Armco's the one that built it, but, you know, the steel barriers or guardrail you see all across, you know, on the roads, like at a dead-end street or around a curve or anything, to contain a car, you know, that might get out of control or crash. This dude's out there hacksawing it. We'll see if we can roll the ABC7 report.
B road deconstruction. A viewer captured this video of someone on the 10 freeway sawing part of the guardrail. That person speculates that this other one may have been trying to steal the metal. We reached out to CHP and Caltrans. Both agencies are now investigating the incident. Caltrans has confirmed the person in the video is not one of its workers.
That seems pretty obvious that that dude was not one of their workers. And again, that's the downside of these, these battery powered like Sawzall, like the guys using, are absolutely great if they're used as tools, to build or tear something out so you can rebuild something or fix something or build a new this, that, and the other. They're very great tools, but the same token, evil people can use them for evil uses. And other than, could be scrapping it. Maybe he wanted to build something at his house. I've seen people use them like to stack them up to build, like if you wanted to build like a ditch bank oaky retaining wall. I've seen them stack those up, boom, 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 and pile dirt on it, and like a retaining wall or something. I've seen them used a lot of creative ways. So I mean, the obvious reason is he's going to scrap it, but you're not going to, at the price of iron, you're not going to get, I mean, one of those sections, looks like it's about 10, 15 feet. I mean, you're only going to get like $10 for something like that. I think it's like $200 a ton, and that maybe what he's doing maybe weighs 100 pounds. So, I mean, there's 3 or 4 or 5 sections. If you got 5 sections, you might get $50 minus what the saw blades are costing you, because if they didn't steal those from the Ace Hardware store or something, but and that's going to cost. That's probably going to cost $3,000 or $4,000 to replace. That stuff ain't cheap. I'd say that Armco barrier is probably $20 or $30 a foot just to buy the material, and then somebody's got to go out there and install it and everything. And if you're doing it on Caltrans, property, there's godzillion rules and regulations with Caltrans to put anything in. So this is why we got to bust these criminals. And Trump talked about the DC thing. And others. And if the locals don't get on the stick, like Trump talked about Washington, D.C., now I don't know that I'm 100%, even myself, comfortable with sending the National Guard on a regular basis into places like Chicago, but DC I do, because that is basically, the federal government does have jurisdiction in the boundaries of Washington, D.C. for law enforcement. And they do, in certain emergency purposes, and I'm not necessarily saying I'm against it, but it needs to be done with a lot of caution and a lot of checks and balances. But I understand the frustration, the sentiment, 111% behind it.
To do, we have to. And after we do this, we'll go to another location and we'll make it safe also. We're going to make our country very safe. We're going to make our cities very, very safe. Chicago's a mess. You have an incompetent mayor, grossly incompetent. And we'll straighten that one out probably next. That'll be our next one after this. And it won't even be tough. And the people in Chicago, Mr. Vice President, are screaming for us to come. They're wearing red hats, just like this one, but they're wearing red hats. African-American ladies, beautiful ladies, are saying, please, President Trump, come to Chicago. Please. I did great with the black vote, as you know, and they want something to happen. So I think Chicago will be our next, and then we'll help with New York, and we're going to help with, and I think really, a lot of these people that you see on television, they're, including the people in this audience, they'll say bad things about me, and then they'll say, thank God he's here.
which that part I 111% agree with. But again, if it's just a temporary deal to clean stuff up, I mean, you could make a case for that. And Lord knows our big cities, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Seattle, Chicago, New York, Washington, D.C., St. Louis, New Orleans, Memphis, are criminal hellholes. Now, there's this one theory that, the local people voted for that, and that's their jurisdiction, and it's up to them to clean it up.
Got 1 minute, Roy.
But we shall see. If it's just a temporary thing to come into Chicago and clean up the mess and they get out of there, I mean, I think I could support that. But as Sean said, we'll be joining the Mighty Met KMET here in, as we say, a few seconds. And we'll proceed and close out the week on this
30 seconds.
Than you Friday. What a week it's been, like we keep saying. We think one day hopefully maybe we'll take a national week off somewhere in here where we just won't do anything and nothing will happen and we can all just take a chill pill for a week.
Here we go, 10 seconds.
Come back refreshed, wouldn't that?
Are not available in all areas. Other restrictions apply.
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
There's that foundational live guitar music that comes in every Monday through Friday, live at 5:30 on the Mighty Met 1490 AM, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire in the aforementioned AM band. Join your vast video audience in the EVP Network, Rumble, X, YouTube, on the Roy Blecker channel. Check us out, subscribe, type in iNewsWire on your search or on your whatever it is, the like deal or whatever. Shows you how good I am at the social media stuff. Lots of stuff happening today. The big story locally as we open the show with, but those joining the Mighty Met KMET who might not have heard, the parents of missing 7-year-old boy Emmanuel Haro were arrested today in Cabazon by Riverside County Sheriff's Department. It's their jurisdiction since the boy was originally reported missing by the mom in Yucaipa, which at this point, nobody's finding any credible evidence that that story was anywhere close to being accurate. Would has it been a week? We still have no news of where baby Haro is or what has happened to him. But they were arrested today. As we shown earlier, but Eddie George of Action Eye News caught it on videotape. He's been out there most of the time out there since that, since this issue came to light. He's the one that caught the video of the fire that broke out in the house that was across the street and the people that appeared to be walking away from it. There's the mom, Rebecca Haro, being cuffed and put in the police car. There's Jake Haro being arrested by San Bernardino County Sheriff deputies. Again, we need closure. We need to find everyone. This is such a heartbreaking story. But I hope one or both parents will come clean and say what happened here or what they know. And hopefully we can bring a resolution to this case. Because you can only truly heal until you really know what happened. If nothing's ever discovered or we never find baby Haro, then it's always going to be the speculation of what happened of that. And if anything untoward happened to that little child, I hope the perpetrators of that crime are prosecuted to the full extent of the law. And again, I don't encourage anybody to do illegally, but this is just my world. There is no punishment ultimately for anyone that kills a child in cold blood. There isn't a punishment on this earth that would be commensurate with the crime, if you want to go to the biblical stuff, an eye or tooth for a tooth. But we shall see, like I've said, hope for the best, prepare for the worst. John Bolton was greeted this morning by FBI agents and his house was raided. He's a former national security advisor under Trump. At least the Trump administration didn't have the TV crews out there like they did when they busted Trump and Rudy Giuliani and Roger Stone and a whole host of others in the Trump administration. They pulled this crap on. But it's if John Bolton has leaked information, classified information, or betrayed the United States in the position of trust he held as National Security Advisor, then he should face the consequences. And a lot of people ask, because Bolton was always war, wanting to go in neocon, and everybody, and he was an advisor and Trump won, and everybody had the speculation. And this is why, sometimes everything isn't what it appears to you or me or anybody else on this deal. There may be extenuating circumstances or why things are happening. Well, now we're finding out from El Presidente why and what purpose John Bolton served in the first Trump administration as a national security advisor. Here we go.
When I hired him, he served a good purpose because, as you know, he was one of the people that forced Bush to do the ridiculous bombings in the Middle East. Bolton, he wants to always kill people, and he's very bad at what he does, but he worked out great for me because every time he doesn't talk, he's like a very quiet person, except on television. If he could say something bad about Trump, he'll always do that, but he really doesn't talk, he's quiet. And I'd walk into a room with him with a foreign country, and the foreign country would give me everything because they said, oh no, they're going to get blown up because John Bolton's there. He's not a smart guy, but he could be a very unpatriotic guy. I mean, we're going to find out. I know nothing about it. I just saw it this morning. They did a raid.
Do you expect the DOJ to brief you on this?
Yeah, they'll brief me, probably today sometime.
And the foreign minister.
I tell Pam and I tell the group, I don't want to know, but just you have to do what you have to do. I don't want to know about it. It's not necessary. I could know about it. I could be the one starting it. I'm actually the chief law enforcement officer, but I feel that it's better.
So now we know why Trump had Bolton around. Because it was scaring the crap of whoever he was talking to, Putin or the dude from Pakistan or whatever Stan or Ping Pong or whomever, Rocket Man. They saw Bolton walk in the room, they said, holy crap. That crazy Trump just might start if he's listening to Bolton, we could be in a war in the next 3 seconds here. So now we know the reason why Trump had Bolton around. He was using Bolton as a prop to say, hey, if you jerk the United States around, we'll just tell old Johnny Bolton, go for it. That's why Trump's a smart cookie. You can say a lot of things, but that man is very savvy. Hands down, 1,000%. Before we get to the Gavin Newsom and the Newsomander, which is going to be on the November ballot, the whole wokeism phenomenon that's been going on, and another one stepped into that manure pile. I guess Cracker Barrel didn't learn anything from the illustrious Dylan Mulvaney Bud Light disaster. You see the old promo photo on the left of the screen of the very nice looking young lady representing Cracker Barrel, to their new promo as we're getting the trannies on there. They think the clientele of Cracker Barrel, which is basically a bunch of ditch bank okie hillbillies, is probably, as I don't even think I've ever been to a Cracker Barrel, but that's kind of the clientele they do. You really think they're going to flock there? Seeing the tranny picture? Oh, they're just going to... And if you just want to know how this works, just go ask the lady who thought the Dylan Mulvaney tranny Bud Light commercial was going to be a hot, flaming success. Within a couple of days, she was fired. I mean, it's like, what in the hell? So, this one, as we said, will be on our radar screen, if I can find it, yes. This is Gavin Newsom. And he's rolled out the presser. The Senate passed today, so it'll be on the November ballot, the Newsom gerrymander for our congressional seats. And as Joe Patterson, up in one of the few Republicans who in our state legislature says, literally never heard a person in my life say California problems would be solved if only we had a few more Democrats. I think that's an excellent point. Here's Gulag, Gavin Newsom.
We'll be the first state in U.S. history to, in the most democratic way, submit to the people of our state the ability to determine their own maps.
Lie number one. We didn't say, hey, Newsom, we need to redraw the congressional maps. Even worse than the gerrymander the Citizens Committee did, which are 100% out of whack of the way California votes. Democrats are already 100% more seats than they should have if the lines were drawn fairly. Now, basically, he wants to cut them all out. Line number one. No, we didn't vote. We didn't say we wanted this. You, under the false pretense of saying, oh, Texas is a redistricting Texas is under court order from the U.S. Attorney's Office of the United States of America to redraw their map. California is not. So the whole thing Newsom is building is being built on a false
It
premise.
simply has not been done. We got here because the President of the United States is struggling. We got here because the President of the United States is one of the most unpopular presidents in U.S. history. We got here because he recognizes that he will lose the election. Congress will go back into the hands of the Democratic Party next November. We got here because of his failed policies. Those are being exposed hour by hour, reinforced today by Walmart announcing they'll be raising prices because of the tax increases, because of the tariffs. Reminded every day by slowing.
And what the hell does that have to do with redistricting? Zero. But as the doofus, and we'll see. If the people don't vote for it, it'll all be not. But it's a very rare occurrence that citizens actually vote for a redistricting map. But I can tell you, one person out of 40 million in California who drew a redistricting map and had the people vote on it, and that's yours truly. When in Moreno Valley in 2014 it was on the ballot, we went from 5 districts of councilmen to a directly elected mayor, which was elected across the whole city, in 4 districts. So when you do that, you obviously have to redraw the districts because you're going from 5 to 4 on the council districts. So that was part of the ballot question. If you passed the directly elected mayor, then you had, in that, the council had to submit a map. The council of Moreno Valley at the time had citizens submit their maps in an open process, had a consultant, redistricting consultants submit theirs. Ultimately, my map was chosen. And the people voted for it by 80%. 80%, Gavin. So I have some expertise in this exact process that very few people do. And we did it in Moreno Valley. We did it transparently. The citizens of you didn't give any citizen a chance to submit a map, or the Republicans. You didn't give Leticia Castillo or Kate Sanchez or Greg Wallace or Joe Patterson or Josh Hoover or Kelly Sayarto. You didn't give them a chance to submit a map. You just came up with it and said, here you go. This is the most dictatorial BS crap. And he's using our money, $250 million that's going to cost us, whether it goes up or down, just because he wants to placate to the trannies of the Cracker Barrel crowd, or that's running Cracker Barrel that thinks that, or the Bud Light crowd, that are going to be, he's hoping that he can stake that trail, since he's failed on every other trail, to ride that to the Democratic nomination for president in 2028. Of all the crap he has put us through, COVID, French laundry, highest gas prices, home prices, starving us for water, killing our farmlands, everything else, this might be the coup de grace that he is pulling off on this one. Because like Joe Patterson said, nobody has said, you know what, we need a few more Democrats and everything else will be straightened out in California. They're running everything into the ground, so we're going to double down on that. We're going to double down on insanity. Not only do the same thing over and over again, we're going to turbocharge it and put it on steroids. the amount of stupidity that we have subjected ourselves to is truly amazing. There's one I just want to touch out for this for a minute before we get to what happened at Riverside School Board. And I just had a chance to scan it because it just came out in the press enterprise, as they say. But there's this one claiming report slams Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco on low violent crime clearance rate, which on violent crimes means what type of percentage that you're getting convictions on. They're saying 9, less than 10%. San Bernardino's at 26. Orange County's at about 20. We're the lowest of the 57 counties. Of course, Sheriff Chad claims it's a bogus report. So hopefully when we come back next week, we'll have time to delve in a little deeper into that report. See if it's a credible report or not. But it definitely is something we definitely need to dig into or find out if it's either a bogus report and or there is something behind it. Just because it may not agree or it may be not on its face, or, I'm not saying that the report's true. I'm not saying that it's not. But it will take some, a little bit more digging into so we can see if there is a problem on turning over criminals in Riverside County and putting them in jail, which desperately needs to be done. We don't want Trump coming in here with the National Guard. Before we wrap up the week, it happened in the school board last night. About 20 people came out to comment on the issue at Poly High, where we had, where the Poly High girls volleyball team says we're not playing against Arupa because they got A.B. Hernandez on there, which is a boy, and all that. And in my public comments on that, and this is why this issue is different. When Hernandez is winning the gold medals in the high jump or what, that's an individual competition. There's no projectiles going across, no physical contact. This is a different situation. And this is why we don't have boys and girls sports, because they're bigger, stronger. A volleyball is a projectile. It can kill you. Like I used the example of basal skull fracture. That's what Dale Earnhardt died from. It's where if you get hit, it's where your spine attaches to your brain. If that gets severed, you're dead, like almost instantly. And a boy can hit a ball, especially at a girl, like the girl that got severe brain damage from this stuff, or, because she got hit by a boy who hit the ball hard enough, hit her in the face, and she's got brain damage. So this is a safety issue. On top of that. So this is why we need to address this pronto 10-4 very urgently before a disaster happens. Marietta cops, some of the local genre will hit with that real quickly, hopefully, if we can get this stuff to work, get this ridiculous stuff off of here so I can see what I'm doing or read what the story says. There's, of course, me. When you go shopping and without a credit card, you will get arrested by the Marietta cops. Riley's Farms Rockabilly Nights are tomorrow. I think they have tickets. Check them out. Another one, of course, a large fight was at Hemet. Cops broke up. Good job there. Riverside Police, San Bernardino Police, gotcha. Getting more criminals off. Of course, that report on Sheriff Chad we'll deal with hopefully next week. Riverside Cops, we're doing a field training exercise out there. Of course, the parents arrested in the Baby Haro case. Man, oh man. What a week. I will say this. And it's been 1 year today since my dad passed away. You never know how it is until something happens. And, when you're a little kid or something, you think your parents are going to last forever and all that. But, as you get older, one day they won't be there. It was actually on a Thursday, but I came on the air Friday, which I'll do that. But want to run a little by one of my experiments, and I put it in the comments. So I'm going to be curious to see how many people watch to the end. And if you watch to the end, just type in the word Pete. That's it. I want to see how many people will actually watch to the end of the show. That'll do it for this week. We usually say at this time, mandatory you're back here in 71 hours. Why? You're the best darn show in the whole wide world. Until then, see ya.
The proceeding was a paid.
Hey, Roy. Well, try and have a good weekend. I know. Already a year since your dad passed.
Yeah,
it goes.
It seems like, well, in some respects, it seems like it was just yesterday. But you go boom, it's a year already.
Yeah, I know the feeling, man. My mom, it's been about 14 years now, and my dad passed away in '93, and it's like, yeah, I don't know. It's the same for me, even after all those years.
You don't forget that.
Same for me, even after all these years. It's like, it's just like I remember it like yesterday.
Yep, it is. Like you say, it seems like it was just like like a day or two or a week ago or so. But man, it's been a year. But well, that's the circle of life.
Yeah, it's cruel, I'll tell you that. But anyway, try and have a good weekend.
I will.
All right.
Every day's a great day. Remember this. Every day's a great day. You're on the top side of the grass.
Yeah, because you never know.
Yep.
You never know.
You got a long time to be on the other side, so enjoy what you got while you can.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. All right.
We'll see you Monday.
Take care.
You got it.